Hey y'all, it's Diann Bayes, the #1 quester and founder of How Big is Texas? Welcome to my neck of the woods in beautiful Northeast Texas, where the oak woods and prairies converge with the piney woods. How Big is Texas started in 2020 as we were coming out of the pandemic. I drove the perimeter of the state more than 3,300 miles and have been traveling the back roads and the highways ever since to enjoy big miles, big taste, and big adventures. This podcast is for your enjoyment, my amusement, and to share a little something about the Lone Star State. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started on today's Texas Quest. Spring has definitely sprung in the piney woods of East Texas. The azaleas, dogwoods, and wisteria blaze with colors only seen for a few weeks before things green up around my neck of the woods. As the spring heats up, the roses begin to bloom and the irises emerge from their slumber, adding new and vibrant colors to the landscape. Since I'm not a flower gardener, aside from throwing a few wildflowers into the beds and parts of the yard I don't tend to do anything in, I enjoy seeing other gardens thrive so I can benefit from the hard work and dedication they put in their yards. And yes, I am well aware that's not the reason people work their flowers and yards, except for the cases of keeping up with the Joneses, whoever they are. That said, I'm grateful for their efforts. I do enjoy a vegetable garden. I'm not sure why I choose to raise food over flowers, aside from the fact I like to eat it when it comes up. You can't really eat flowers, except for those the chefs toss on a perfectly good recipe they forgot to add gravy to or fry. While they may look pretty, I have a tendency to move them to the side of the plate and enjoy their last minutes of life while I chomp on the salad greens they were topping. To tell you the truth, I may be turning into Weezer Boudreaux from the Southern movie Steel Magnolias. As she replies in the movie when asked why she grows tomatoes, "Because I'm an old Southern woman and we're supposed to wear funny-looking hats and ugly clothes and grow vegetables in the dirt. Don't ask me those questions. I don't know why. I don't make the rules." I have to admit, like Weezer, I recently purchased a pair of overalls and a big hat to wear when I'm gardening, so this apple doesn't fall far from that tree. I do come by it honestly. My grandfather was a farmer, as were many of my ancestors before him. Back in the day, as they say, you grew your crops to feed your family. Papa would harvest what he grew, and my grandma would can soups, jams, jellies, and more, and so I guess I inherited it from my grandparents. As I've shared with you, if you've read my blog at howbigistexas.com or even followed me on social media, you know I've lived in more than 20 cities and towns in Texas, and I've visited almost the entire state, except for 3 counties of the 254. I hope to get to those before the end of this year. Living in those communities and even traveling across the state, I have experienced some outstanding produce in my life. If you visit the Panhandle, you'll see the larger crops of corn, wheat, and sorghum. When I lived there, you could always count on watching the harvest as farmers filled their trucks, lined Main Street in the tiny communities, and then waited their turn to sell the grains or corn and have them deposited into the grain elevators. And before you start shaking your head in confusion, these elevators are nothing like those you enter in buildings to move from floor to floor. They are tall storage buildings that hold the grains or corn until it is distributed for use. There's more to it than that, but this is the simplest way to explain what they are. When we lived in the northeast corner of the Panhandle, you could see the grain elevators from several small towns some 20 miles away from our house. Of course, we could also see a tornado from that far away, even though we really should have stayed in the basement till it passed. When people who don't experience tornadoes ask if it's true about Southerners standing outside to watch a storm, I can absolutely state it is the gospel truth. I don't know if it's because we're comfortable knowing we're ready to meet our Maker from all those revivals we attended as children, or if we're just crazy as a June bug in July. Some of us spot something and go, "Hold my beer," while others say, "Hold my sweet tea." And that's why the thunderstorms that rage around us hold our attention. But I digress. If you visit far west Texas near the mountains of the Lone Star State, You can find agave, which is used to make tequila for medicinal purposes only, of course, so most people would want you to believe. Well, at least some people. Mesquite trees that are known for smoking barbecue or making flour and jelly from the beans are found in this area, as are prickly pear cactus that produce edible dark pink fruit known as tunas that can be used for jellies and flavoring vodka. The green part of the cactus is called nopales or something like that. I don't really have a great Hispanic accent, so these are used in many Mexican recipes. They remind me a little of okra in texture without all the seeds and less slime when you cook them. Sound delicious. West Central Texas, specifically in San Saba County, you'll find the pecan capital of the world. This small county in the Lone Star State produces and shells more than 28 million pounds of pecans a year. Yep, that's a lot of nuts. You can also find pecans in other parts of the state, like Seguin near San Antonio, where you find the world's largest pecan, Goldthwait, home of pecans, or even East Texas, where the trees grow as tall as some of the 100-foot pine trees. If you head to the Rio Grande Valley, you can find all sorts of citrus, especially oranges and ruby red grapefruit, the state fruit of Texas. I also had the best carrots I've ever eaten from the small town of Weslaco that had a farmer's market filled with the freshest vegetables I've ever seen. The climate is a little different there compared to the rest of the state in the winter months. So enjoying an orange or grapefruit in January from a tree in the valley is in fact all that in a bag of chips. The Rio Grande Valley is also known for producing big crops like soybeans, rice, sugarcane, and sorghum, and you can see some of the same grain elevators in this area as you find in the Panhandle. When you get to the I-35 corridor from Austin to Dallas-Fort Worth and even a little west of Austin in the Texas Hill Country, you'll find peaches and strawberries, especially if you visit places like Fredericksburg and Stonewall. Some are pick your own farms, which is a nice way for you to feel like you made a contribution to the farming effort by at least getting your hands a little dirty from the picking. You might even find the occasional sunflower field by Hillsboro. Drive a little north of Fort Worth and you can visit Weatherford, the peach capital of Texas. And in the fall, the pumpkin patches and corn mazes come to life all over the area. Even after sharing all of that, I can't think of a better place in Texas for planting a farm for the purpose of eating than East Texas. I may play favorites to this area because I've spent more of my life in this part of the state than any other. It may be because I used to pick and sell produce on our family's land in Livingston and drive to the farmer's market in Beaumont in southeast Texas when I truck farmed with my dad, uncle, and cousin during my summer years of high school and college. But it's likely because this part of the state gets a hefty amount of rainfall every year on average, anywhere from 40 to 60 inches, and we can grow a lot of things. Fruit is abundant in this part of the state. You can enjoy peaches in Fairfield, Winona, Terrell, and Pittsburgh. Blueberries grow as far northeast as Mineola, Edom, and Tyler, and southeast in Nacogdoches, Murchison, Lufkin, Huntington, Magnolia Springs, and Kirbyville, to name a few. Places like Quitman, Big Sandy, New Boston, Spring, and Cleveland produce strawberries, and you can find blackberries across East Texas in places like Edom, Page, Alvin, and Plantersville. Of course, Mother Nature also provides dewberries, the smaller cousin to a blackberry. You can find these in fence lines, fields, or on the side of the road driving through most parts of East Texas. As a kid, we picked them all the time and never thought twice about the possibility of snakes being in the tall grass where we stuck our tiny hands for a delicious bit of fruit goodness. I'm not as likely to do that now, as I've become a bit more cautious since I gained knowledge and lost my innocence due to age and experience. You can get some of the best sweet potatoes around in Van Zant County in East Texas or in the tiny town of Golden. In fact, you can even enjoy the Golden Sweet Potato Festival in October, where they crown the Mr. and Miss Potato Sprout, Miss Potato Spud, Mr. Tater Tot, Mr. and Miss Curly Fry, Little Miss Sweet Potato, Little Miss Potato Wedge, the Sweet Potato Princess, and the Sweet Potato Queen. That's a lot of taters for a town of less than 200 people. Some places, like the tiny town of Noonday, with a population of 759, produce an onion named after the town. According to various websites, a noonday onion is not considered to be called that unless it's grown within 10 miles of the city. Well, city, the town. Noonday sweets onions have been around since the 1940s and are even trademarked. Now, I wouldn't say they're like eating an apple, but you can sure enjoy them raw with a pot of purple hull peas, turnip greens, and cornbread. And yes, both the peas and the greens grow well in East Texas, too. The official international world headquarters of How Big is Texas is located only a few miles from Noonday, and the town of Jacksonville, known as the tomato capital of the world. Back in the early 1910s, this part of Texas produced 90% of the tomatoes shipped from the state. And when the tomato season is here, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better thing to eat than a sandwich on white bread, a slathering of Duke's mayonnaise, a thick slice of tomato, and some salt and pepper. Add a noonday onion to the mix and you've got some good victuals. All of this talk of gardening has me excited. While I don't want to rush the spring, I've planted my crops and look forward to having peppers, onions, potatoes, cucumbers, tomatoes, okra, and more in a few short months. The dewberries are flowering under our oak trees, so we're hoping for a snake-free bumper crop for future cobblers. Dewberries, that is, not snakes. I'm also excited about the opportunity to can some of what I grow or purchase from the local farmers in the area so that we can enjoy it in the fall and winter months until we can do it all over again next year. Whether it's flowers or vegetables, I encourage you to get your hands dirty and enjoy the fact that if you plant something from a seed, you can watch it grow into something beautiful for you to enjoy. If you don't have any interest in that, support your local farmer, whether in Texas or beyond, and make sure to thank them for their hard work and for providing for so many. Well, that's all she wrote for this episode. I sure hope you enjoyed it. You can follow me on social media at How Big is Texas or on my blog, howbigistexas.com. If you like this podcast, y'all please take the time to give me a Texas-sized friendly review. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, from Texas, safe travels.